you're famous for this sort of chicken dance, right?
Exactly.
What should we be looking for? Can you do a little bit of it? This will make sense in a minute.
Hello and welcome to the EuroWhat, episode number 23 for the week of August 13, 2018. I'm Mike McComb and I'm joined today by Ben Smith. Hey Ben.
Hey Mike.
We're a couple of Americans trying to make sense of the Eurovision Song Contest, and this week we'll be talking about the mechanics of songwriting. How's it going, Ben?
Good, yeah, like it feels like forever since we've recorded.
Yeah. Getting a little inside baseball-y, but we recorded our last episode super early, so this is our first time back in our respective recording booths in quite a while.
Like a month. It's great.
Yeah.
I forgot about 85% of how podcasting works. Is great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same here. It only took us like 2 hours to get started.
yeah, those muscles, it turns out, completely atrophy if you don't use them.
What have you been up to since we last recorded?
It has been a busy July of pursuing my other passions when I'm not podcasting, which are to say puzzles and trivia. A couple weeks ago, at this point, I was at the Trivia Conference of North America, which has been taking place in Vegas the last couple years.
Ooh.
Which, Vegas in August, it's hot. So as part of that, there is like a whole quiz bowl tournament, essentially. You know, I registered like last year for this and was like, yeah, just stick me on a random team. And the person who arranged the teams did a very good job of taking a look at everybody's Learned League and other things that they do that are trivia, and actually gave me a pretty balanced team. We got all the way to we did not get to the final round, but we got to the bronze medal round and then promptly got trounced.
Oh no.
Yeah, but like so the way that Quiz Bowl works is that you have a toss-up question, and whoever gets the toss-up gets a bonus question that's worth an additional 30 points. I had jokingly said to my team earlier in the round when we were first getting to know one another, okay guys, so my trivia knowledge tends to mostly be, there's like a little bit of literature, there's a little bit of math and science stuff, but it's mostly just pop culture garbage. If there is this is never going to happen because this is way too niche of a subject, but if there is a question about, given the song title, name the country at this year's Eurovision that performed it, I'm your guy. So in the bronze medal match, one of the rare bonuses that we did get was apparently the obligatory yearly Eurovision bonus question. I lit up like a Christmas tree.
Nice.
The first question, and again, like I'm basically talking over the poor reader at this point. Who won this year? Israel. Who hosted this year? Portugal. And patiently waited through most of this question just to make sure I didn't like pounce and get like a trick question. Mm-hmm. Not that there would be a trick question in this one because, again, this is niche knowledge.
Right.
But who's the second most famous winner of the contest? Notable because they weren't actually Swiss. I'm like, I was sitting there going, okay, well, if it's not ABBA, it's Celine Dion. And it was Celine Dion. So
that is incredible.
Yeah, so that was great. My team were very happy that we suddenly had another 30 points on the board. Did it get us the bronze medal? No, it did not. But I felt very, very proud of myself.
Well, congratulations. Yeah, was this done like Jeopardy style where you have to like buzz in and like to answer questions?
This is like proper Quiz Bowl style. You have a team of 4. Everybody has a buzzer. If you buzz in before the end of the question, if you are wrong, you lose 5 points and your team is locked out.
Mm.
You can buzz in early at any point, but it doesn't get you any bonus.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. As it turns out, when you don't record for a month, a lot of Eurovision news piles up.
Yeah, so probably the biggest one, which fell at such an unfortunate time schedule-wise, because it was like the day after our like last podcast episode dropped, which was Netta appearing on the Today Show. She gave a performance of Toy, talked to Carson Daly for like 5 minutes. He seemed a little lost, but I thought she gave a pretty good performance.
Yeah, like I watched the video afterwards because I have to be on the train when the Today Show is on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I thought the performance was good. Like I actually kind of like this performance a little bit better than her actual Eurovision performance as far as feeling coherent.
Yeah, coherent. And really liked her look. She had like this purple braids thing going on and like really cute dress. And
Well, yeah, it felt a little less appropriative.
yes, yeah, that was also a nice thing to see. She did have to explain the chicken dance, which, sure, I thought it would have been cooler to talk about her looper, but Today's Show typically doesn't have Eurovision contestants on it, so I guess they have to do whatever they can, like, to make the 5 minutes count. It's just part of this, like, major worldwide push that Netta's label is trying to do, and it seems to be working. Last I checked on the Billboard charts, Toy is number 3 on the Dance Club Songs chart. That's the one that is compiled by surveys of DJs, so that one's not based on sales. The one that is based on sales is the EDM chart, and she was at number 29. She did slip to number 33, but she's on the charts, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, she's on a chart in the US, which is more than most Eurovision winners do these days.
Yeah, so I'm very curious to see how far she can take this. There was a video going around the other day of her doing looping remixes of different pop songs with iHeartRadio. Like she did a version of Rude Boy that she did when she auditioned on Rising Star back in Israel. But yeah, she did like 2 or 3 songs in that video, and it's just really charming. Like that is her strongest asset, is just how charming she is. Mm-hmm. So, and let's see, Johnny Weir is also getting on the Eurovision bandwagon. Ben, I think you were the one who put this on the doc.
Well, I feel very unsurprised that Johnny Weir is on the Eurovision bandwagon, but he is currently skating to Fuego, which is an excellent choice, I think, as far as skating music goes. Not that I'm an expert on these things, but it feels like a good choice.
He had a video of one of his practices on his Instagram. Nothing involving costumes, although I think he described what his costume is going to be when he's performing this number. So be on the lookout for that if you're into like men's figure skating, I guess. I don't know. That song is still top of my playlist right now. Like it's just such a great summer bop. I love it.
Oh yeah, like that one is definitely a good summer one. I would say, like, as like the figure skating season approaches, since he is, I think, more on the less on the competitive side these days, more on the exhibition side. So I would keep an eye out for that once that kind of happens around like November, December.
Yeah, and then just other kind of random songs appearing in the wild. I tweeted this out a couple weeks ago. I was at a Starbucks. I was waiting in line for my iced coffee, and a song was playing over the store system, and I could sort of recognize the guitar work, and it's just like, wow, this really sounds a lot like Ireland's entry. But why would that be playing here? And like, it was also one of those things where it's like, wait, are my headphones like still on and just playing really loud? And like, I wasn't sure I was hearing it, but then just like, no, this is actually what is coming out over the PA, but like, it's just the guitar part. And it's like, oh wait, maybe this is the karaoke version. And sure enough, the vocals from the karaoke version.
Why would true love look me in the eye?
And it's really off-putting in like the weirdest way, because it's just like, well, first of all, it's harmonizing, so it's just in a different key, so it just sounds kind of off-key, and then it's mainly the chorus, so it's
Thought we'd meet again till we die.
oh, happy Friday, everybody.
Happy Friday,
And
Chicago. Death comes for us all.
yeah, and especially because it's just like, oh, I know I appreciate this. I doubt anybody else here appreciates this, unless there's somebody from the Swedish American Museum down the street that's like doing a coffee run right now. But yeah, I just thought that was kind of hilarious, and just like, all right, sure, why not?
Sure,
Like,
yeah, I guess.
yeah, like,
okay, thanks,
but-
life.
yeah, and like, why the karaoke version? Like, the original track is perfectly fine. I don't know if royalties thing or what, but yeah.
Oh yeah, and like you had like a week of like spotting past Eurovision things in the wild, because there's like a couple others that have popped up.
Yeah, so I was watching Hulu the other day, and the Farmers Insurance ad came up. It's one where there's like a dad and a daughter like playing a Dance Dance Revolution type game, and then I guess their apartment is above a garage, and like all these paint cans are falling onto the car parked below. I was only sort of half paying attention, but could hear the music, and just like, wait a minute, I recognize this. And it is the song Work by Stella Mwangi, who represented Norway back in 2011 and was one of the finalists this year for Norway. And I'm just like, wow, that, like, number one, great that she's getting that kind of clearance, because that song's a lot of fun, but Also, like, wow, that is like the most random poll. And yeah, just had to be there at the right place, right time.
You heard it here first. Farmers Insurance ads are the new iTunes ad in terms of discovering new artists.
Yeah, if you don't have work in your workout playlist, highly, highly recommend it.
Every time I put in work, I put in work. I put in work. Work. I put in work. Work. I put in. When I do what I do, better go and put in work.
On the current season of America's Got Talent, Glennis Grace, who represented the Netherlands in 2005, she has made it to the quarterfinals. Last week, she did her Judges Cuts performance with a cover of Nothing Compares to You. It was fine. Yeah, like, America's Got Talent is just not my bag. Right before she performed, there was, like, Quick Change Artist.
I feel like with America's Got Talent, they try to end that show's title with an exclamation point, and I mostly just want it to be a question mark.
Yeah, because before the Quick Change people, it was a guy on a trampoline with a zebra balloon. I don't know. It's summer TV. There's only the bar's a lot lower. Yeah, she will be competing in the quarterfinals, but yeah, I don't think the quarterfinal has been scheduled yet. I really don't understand how this show works.
Yeah, America's Got Talent just lasts for like 16 weeks, and there are buzzers and there are X's, and I do not understand any of it, and I do not engage with it.
Hope she does well. End sentence. That's all I got. But yeah, like, it's just a lot of Eurovision in the wild. And yeah, we would love to hear if you spot anything Eurovision related, as you're out and about, getting coffee, watching TV, wherever. Just hit us up on our social media at EuroWhat on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Just got on SoundCloud, so that's cool.
Ooh, that's fun.
Also, if you have a better name than Eurovision in the Wild,
we are all ears. Please send that to us.
Enough about that. Let's get on to our main topic of songwriting,
which is, let's force a computer to write Eurovision songs.
Yes.
So this was something that when we were discussing the show, I pitched as a thing, not understanding how it would work, and I am so pleased with what we did. It feels like a very sort of meta thing to do, like Eurovision songs about writing Eurovision songs. Like, there have actually been 2 of them now. One of them was not an actual entry, but one of them was. I mean, like, we have the Love, Love, Peace, Peace song that Sweden did the last time they hosted, which is really just like a classic Eurovision bit, I think, at this point.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it gets more into like how to put on a Eurovision performance and like the staging of it more than the songwriting. Although they do talk about the key changes.
They talk about the key changes, but yeah, like, it's largely just an excuse to hit all of the things on your Eurovision drinking game in 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It is trope central.
Right.
So.
It's like, Eurovision really kind of, like, at least when the Swedes do it, I think particularly, really likes winking at itself. Mm-hmm. And I like things that realize their own silliness, so I'm inclined towards them. Something that is much more songwriting focused, we have Norway's entry from this year, That's How You Write a Song, which offers such helpful, insightful tips as Go With It and Sing It All Day Long, which is great if you've written a thing. Mm-hmm. Alexander, but is less helpful and does not really get into the nitty gritty about, okay, but like, how does songwriting work?
Thinking about it, there's an episode of Absolutely Fabulous. It's the first episode of the 4th series where it's not even a plot. It's just kind of like this runner that's going through where Adina is told by one of her like spiritual gurus or whatever. It's like, oh yeah, write a pop song. Bye. And so she's like trying to write a pop song like throughout the day, and it's mostly her just kind of narrating what she's doing. It's like, I'm driving in a car and looking at people outside, and like Patsy's even just like, yeah, that's not catchy at all. And it's just like, I don't know. So
but yeah, going down the Britcom way, like, Father Ted, of course, has the classic like cult canon Eurovision episode, I think, of any media, where they try to write a song for Europe in the Euro song, which is definitely different than the Eurovision Song Contest. But like, I rewatched that over the weekend, and they get through like all of the beats in like 30 minutes. It's very tight and like very good. It's very good, and like a lot of it still really works. I don't know if it's just that I have watched enough Britcoms that the tropes have become innate within me, or if it's just that they're kind of predictable. But like a lot of like the British sitcoms from like that period of like the early 90s have a very homey quality for me, where you kind of know the beats, you kind of know how the story is going to end, but you're still happy to just kind of be along for the ride.
Right. I really enjoy the conceit in there where Father Ted and his rival priests. This is the only episode of Father Ted
this is
that
like
I've
one of the
seen,
only
so-
episodes I've watched but like there's enough detail to go, oh, that's the rival priest.
Right. They talk about entering the Eurosong the way that you would talk about entering like a pie baking competition at the county fair, where it's like, oh yeah, it's like, oh, May is coming up. Are you doing it this year? And it's like, sure. Like everybody's going to write a song for it.
Well, but not everybody, because there's like 6 entries in the Irish final, and one of them is this actually, now that I think about it, they probably sent the good version.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, okay, so the quick plot line is that they just sort of on a whim decide to write an entry for the Eurosong and then like spend all night doing it, and like in the process get nothing except for like 1 minute of content that doesn't rhyme and is the same chord and is them just singing the same note for that entire minute. And
Yeah, set to a default Casio beat.
set to a Casio default as the drum machine. And again, like the song is called My Lovely Horse.
My lovely horse running through the field. Where are you going with your fetlocks blowing in the wind? I want to shower you with sugar lumps and ride you over fences. I want to polish your hooves every single day and bring you to the horse dentist. My lovely horse, you're a pony no more. Running around with the man on your back like a train in the night. Wait, I can do this bit. Like a train in the night.
And that is about as deep as it goes. Anyways, they discover that there's like this Norwegian Eurovision B-side from this group that died tragically along with their management that they could set the words to, and they submit that, and that's what gets them in there. And like really, I've been watching just the dream sequence video of that, where they like it just ends and they wake up and go, we need to lose the sax solo.
Yeah.
Like all weekend, and it's just delightful. And I even kind of like the sax solo. Anyways, they get there and they discover that like everybody secretly knows this tune, which I mean, in thinking about this episode far more than one should. They made it through with that song, so they're probably fine to sing it that way. But their internal spirit is like, no, we should probably do our original version and not plagiarize. And they sing it, and it's terrible. But because Ireland in the show has won the past 5 years and like doesn't have the money to run it again, they submit that they win by default just because they've moved to an internal selection process.
Yeah, and the real irony here is this episode dropped in April of 1996, and Ireland won Eurovision in May of 1996, which was the 4th time in 5 years that Ireland won.
So life imitates art. And so in digging into like the history of this, just to see if there's any like behind the scenes stuff or any kind of nuggets I could dig into while looking into this episode, is what's really, really fun is that so the main director of most of the episodes of Father Ted was also the director of the 1988 Eurovision Song Contest, so he might have kind of known like what was going on as far as like the staging of those scenes. Mm-hmm. What really amused me is that apparently Ireland, who admittedly has had a rough go of the competition lately, there was a petition to submit My Lovely Horse as their entry in 2015. It failed, unfortunately. Just think about what could have been. Just like
Yeah, well, I mean, there's like the whole rule of like not being publicly performed more than a year ahead. Yeah, I mean, there were all sorts of technical issues before it even got into the petition stage. But yeah, it was weird. The article that you linked to, which we'll have in our show notes, it really seemed like it was written by a computer. Like it had all of the facts of the story, but it was not written in a way that I felt a human would write a news story.
It's like somebody put all of the various factoid sentences in the computer. It was like, well, that's good. But anyway, so like one of the crazy ideas I'd had when we were considering doing the podcast and thinking about one of the big trends that has been happening on Twitter is there are various comedy things where it's like, so I fed a computer 100 hours of Olive Garden commercials and here's what it came out with, which are funny. And like some of them you can clearly tell are just comedy writers having a lot of fun with tropes of commercials, but some of which are actually things using what are called Markov chain generators, the best known of which is Botnik. And I was like, well, I have like a large array of data that shows how things are structured. We should do that. And like foolishly, the rest of y'all said, yes, we should do this.
Yeah, could you explain what a Markov chain is?
I can, like, as the resident software engineer on this program. And this was actually like something I programmed, like either my freshman or sophomore year of college as like a programming exercise. So when you have a computer analyze text, you can build what's called a Markov chain generator. And a Markov chain is like a chain of 2 or 3 words. And what you do is you give a computer a text, and it goes through and it reads the text like 2 words at a time and learns sort of what follows each pairing of words. And it starts to build like a little bit of a network where, just telling it, okay, now write me a paragraph based off of like this like 1,000-word text. It will do its best to kind of go through and say, okay, so if I have the cat, this is what word follows next, and it'll take it 2 words at a time, which leads you to wonderfully goofy results. And you can actually set things up so that it's looking at more than just 2-word strings, and that's how you get much more elegant Markov chain generators like autocomplete on your phone. But if you keep it low, the hilarity level rises, which is why people are starting to use things like Botnik and feeding in. Like, I think the best example I found while learning how to make one of these crazy things was there was somebody who used Botnik and fed in a bunch of descriptors of Hello Kitty and her friends and like their biographies, essentially, when you go to the Sanrio page, and use that to generate a bunch of characters and then generate their biography as a result.
Which is actually pretty fascinating, just because, like, even without the, like, comedy generated version, like, you learn so much about Hello Kitty. Like, I had no idea they were British. And just, like, fun factoids like that. But cool. So we decided that we wanted to try to write a song using this method.
Let's just use My Lovely Horse as the baseline for we can write something better than that.
We did this in 2 steps. Compile it. The list is really long. So what we did here is we collected songs from the last 10 years of Eurovision.
I wanted to put, when we were doing this, I kind of wanted to put some constraints on it, just because there are 60 years of Eurovision, and that is a lot of data, and we should probably limit it somehow. So
yeah, and I mean, it's still a pretty substantial corpus of songs that we had, because last 10 years, I mean, that's taking into consideration like what pop sensibilities are. Like, there hasn't been that much transition in the world of Eurovision compared to the world of pop music. Like, the Eurovision has not had its Lady Gaga moment, for example. But
right. But if nothing else, it kind of limits it to like the very reaches of when the people involved with this show have been paying attention to Eurovision.
Right. And it also like takes into consideration like when televoting and the 2 semifinal system started existing, and just like really reaching like peak participation, where it's been like 40 plus countries pretty much every one of those years. So we went back 10 years and we focused on songs that were primarily in English. So fully English language, that's totally fine. If there's the occasional foreign phrase, we didn't disqualify it. So like Iceland's 2010 entry, Je ne sais quoi, like Je ne sais quoi is the only phrase that is not in English in that song. And that's an idiom that's kind of used in English pretty regularly. So we didn't take that one out. But Bulgaria's 2016 entry, If Love Was a Crime, the chorus of that song is primarily in Bulgarian. It's like, yeah, we probably shouldn't include that one just for like cadence purposes, that sort of thing. But that also means that songs like Amar Pelos Dois and 1944, 2 Eurovision winners, we didn't include in this list. We also didn't include songs that were intended to go to Eurovision but didn't actually compete. So that would be like Russia's 2017 entry, Romania's 2016 entry, Georgia's 2009 entry, although that one would have been fun to throw in there. Even with the ones that we didn't include, we still had a list of just over 300 songs, which is about 20% of the full Eurovision experience. So I feel pretty confident that we have a substantial enough list.
Yeah, like that felt like a really, really good base to just kind of build this crazy machine on top of.
Yeah, and it's also something where it's just like we have this base corpus, and we could probably go back and add to it if we have time or the inclination. I doubt we have either. But but one of the things that made this project super, super easy is the website forlyrics.eu. They have an entire Eurovision database in there and just made this like copying, pasting project so much easier. So thank you, forlyrics.eu. As we were throwing this together, Ben also requested a separate corpus of the song titles for all of the entries that we use. And that one was easier because I'd already had that list pulled when I was doing the initial search. So yeah, that one only took like 5 minutes to throw together. The 300 songs, full lyrics, that was a little bit longer of a project.
That was a labor of love. And I will get into like why I ended up requesting that separate titles list a little bit later. But so that was step one of the process. Step two. We used Botnik. That's how we wrote a song. I had read a few things about how people were creating these sort of crazy things on Twitter, and there have been like a ton of memes where it's like, start with the sentence, you know, I was born a, and then just let autocomplete do the rest. That is, again, a more elegant Markov chain, but with Botnik, my assumption at the start of this project was that, okay, well, we are giving it a big old text file that includes line breaks, so it will learn, it will know not only how to put words together, but also when to add line breaks and just how to format things into verses and choruses. It's going to do all the work for me. I can just hit play. It turns out there is no play button. You just sort of upload the file. It's like, here's your keyboard. As it turns out, there is a slightly more manual process to make a computer write a song.
So you're saying there won't be a robot Eurovision uprising anytime soon?
I believe that Thomas Gislason's job is safe for now.
Oh, good.
Which is good for him because he cranks out like 30 a year. The thing that makes that Hello Kitty one work and that makes the best of them work is that there is a structure to the actual text itself, which is tricky with songs because songs do not always follow there are 4 lines in the verse and then there are 5 lines in the chorus. There are no hard and fast rules like that. So what I ended up doing just to kind of play around with lyric writing on this was taking a look at, okay, well, if we want to write a winner, we should copy a winner, essentially. So I was starting things off with the starting word, 1 or 2 words from the verses and choruses of the last 5 English language winners. So the ones that ended up working the best, and I was posting these to our Slack channel with much delight. So Heroes ended up working really well. So did Rise Like a Phoenix. But Rise Like a Phoenix wrote a song that I think was too good, or just kind of did.
It was too sensical.
It was too sensical. That is a better way to describe it. It made too much sense, and I wanted to keep things a little loose. So, again, like just playing around with things, Heroes sort of worked out the best. So I'm gonna do my best epic reading on this one. And I never did come up with a title for this one, so who knows? Don't tell me about your feelings. I can't go on if you want to have some fun. Let's make it through the day. What if I'm this crazy something? You better believe it never felt Latvian. Once I'm na-na, na-na-na. Nah. As you can see, so one of the problems with a Markov chain is that for certain pathways, like na, it really gets going and just does not stop. It doesn't know how. It's just a computer. It's a baby. It doesn't. Anyways, back to the song. He said, when I speak, there's nothing dangerous, and live my dreams endlessly crazy for you. To go down the Rockefeller groove, the Balkan world is ours. We are wolves of the sea, but we're falling down when the music... And like one of the things I love about this lyrics one in particular is that, again, so sort of like the way that like na pops up and like doesn't know how to stop, is that there are, even within like 300 songs, there are still sort of unique fingerprints that only belong to one song. Like the Rockefeller Groove, I can point to the exact Estonian song that comes from, because it's the only one like that.
Is Wolves of the Sea from the song Wolves of the Sea?
It might be from the song Wolves of the Sea.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Again, like there are like these wonderful fingerprints that you can't quite get out of the system. Botnik is perhaps not ideally suited for writing songs. And again, like much swearing happened while trying to make it write actual songs and figuring out lyrical structures, because as it turns out, I am not a trained songwriter and should probably stick to my day job. Then I was like, okay, well, Botnik is very good at like 2 to 5 word chunks. It's good with very short phrases and occasionally sentence, which makes it really, really good at generating Eurovision titles, which is why I had you make that second corpus. Because Eurovision song titles, it turns out, follow a lot of similar patterns, and build a lot more connections that are better. Again, like, it's just ideally suited for just like making a generator around. And I generated like 50 or so of these, and like all of them are delightful, and I love all of them. They're my beautiful children. So I'm just gonna share a few with our listeners. We're gonna make both of these generators available because other people need to be able to play with these things. They're so much fun. Just some of the titles I came up with that made me happy. I Don't Want to Leave the Balkan Life. What If We Just Get Out of the Wolf? And then there's like also just very, very standard titles like One More Life, Sound of Our Choice, Spring in Spring. I was very surprised that I got very strong opinions about some of these titles. Like one of the titles that came up was It's My Guitar, which feels like a very standard Eurovision title, and like I have already sort of have written the chorus for that, and like the line before It's My Guitar is What's That Smell? When you let it a little bit longer, it gets really goofy. Like, what if we just get out of your heart? This Siren Cheesecake, which you can sing to the song This Magic Moment. The Balkan Love for Nothing. I Love the Night Dance. Dance with My Guitar. Popular in Rewind. A Century of Silence.
Ooh.
You Are Soldiers. In Spring, in Autumn, in Love.
Oh, I like
Pressure
that
of the
one.
Universe. Is My Guitar Forever? The one thing I was trying to do is, I think my goal had been I wanted to use the computer to write a song titled Shine, because that title pops up like 3 times every season.
Right.
But so I was very curious, what happens if I put Shine into the Botnik generator? And it turns out not a whole lot of good stuff, because you get like Shine, Fairy Tale, Love Wave, which all of those are one-word titles.
Yeah.
It just kind of goes, well, this one just belongs by itself and just doesn't know what to do with that.
Well, how does Copycat Illusion, like that string comes up twice? You've got Never Forget Copycat Illusion, and where's the other one? We Just Get Copycat Illusion.
So, yeah, like apparently the computer just has just learned that those two words belong together.
All right.
Aphrodisiac sounds just like a college radio program.
Oh, I love that title. That could be the name of Eurovision in the wild. It's just Aphrodisiac sound.
Aphrodisiac sound. Never Teardrops. We
A
Are
rebuttal.
Dance.
Yeah.
We Could Be Vodka. Anyways, as it turns out, computers are not the future when it comes to writing songs. They are very much the future when writing titles. You are welcome to create your own. Really, you want to use the title generator.
And we'll also have the links in our show notes.
But you are welcome, Ralph Siegel. We just made your job that much easier.
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, just the title generator alone is just like, okay, there's a prompt. Just go write a pop song, narrate your day. It's amazing. So this is this is probably one of the goofiest projects I've embarked upon, and I'm so glad we did this.
Yeah, I'm so glad that we did this, and I'm so glad that I now just have like a Eurovision song title generator.
Yeah, so that's pretty much all we've got on the songwriting part. Maybe Alexander Rybak is right that it's a little bit easier than
I
the
get it
computers
now. We
lead
just
us to
went with
believe.
it.
Yeah, we believed in it, and we will be singing "Shine, Fairy Tale, Love Wave" all day long. So. Before we head out, just kind of want to give a word about some current events. So we are recording this on Monday, August 13th. And yeah, there's the possibility that...
Yeah, there was like a whole big thing this weekend where it turns out that the Eurovision broadcaster has not ponied up money that was supposed to be put in a Swiss bank account and has until tomorrow to do it.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of kind of back and forth of KAN, the broadcaster, saying like, well, no, the government needs to pay for it. And then Netanyahu saying like, no, the government's not going to pay for it. And if you don't, we're shutting you down. So it's a little dicey right now as to whether or not next year's contest is going to be in Israel. And
Yeah,
that,
like, just a reminder, y'all, don't buy your plane tickets yet. It's
Yeah.
September. It's not even September, it's August. But like the fun part about this is that like we've been planning our next episode, and it was going to be about Israel. So that's going to be a fun one.
Right. The final decision is expected to drop on Tuesday, and this episode is expected to drop on Wednesday. So we are aware of what's going on. It's just podcast timing is not lining up appropriately.
Yeah,
but
just like a big hearty shrug emoticon.
yeah, but we will definitely be talking about this in our next episode. Until then, that's going to do it for this episode of the Euro What. Thank you for listening. The Euro What podcast is hosted by Mike McComb, that's me, and Ben Smith.
That's me.
Thank you, Ben. You can find us on our website at eurowhat.com, as well as on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Eurowhat. If you'd like to contact us by email, we can be reached at esc@whatelseison.tv. We'd love to hear your questions, comments, suggestions for new Eurovision in the Wild titles. If you do end up using the generator to come up with some great song titles or lyrics for a song, or even like come up with a full song, we would love to hear it. So please send that our way.
Please make more and more Eurovision song titles like the highlight of my week. Please tweet those at EuroWhat.
You can also subscribe to the Euro What podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or the podcast app of your choice. Word of mouth is still the best way to get folks to listen, so please tell your friends about the Euro What podcast. You can also rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, iTunes, all of the services. We listen to all the feedback, and we really appreciate it. And yeah, we'll be back in a couple of weeks with hopefully some information on what is going to be happening in 2019.
That's how you write a song.